firmly stand by the fact that I was not intimate whatsoever towards her in this relationship, and we were purely platonic.
Now, regarding the KonekoKitten situation, everyone knows at this point that KonekoKitten was on record images from Napi and engaging in degenerative messages with him while Napi was 17 years of age and KonekoKitten was 20, being a 3-year age gap between them. However, what was even worse was that KonekoKitten behind the scenes was openly in a relationship with and an even younger who we will call Pink for the sake of their anonymity, right under the noses of everyone in the Roblox community. Now, the age gap between KonekoKitten and Pink was 3 years 9 months, almost a 4-year age difference, and KonekoKitten was on record stating that the relationship between him and Pink was quote-unquote merely platonic and nothing ever happened between them.
Our age difference is roughly around a 3-year, 9-month age difference. I turned 20 years old shortly after we had begun dating, and it definitely was a very weird look for me almost half a decade ago. I will firmly stand by the fact that I was not intimate whatsoever towards her in this relationship, and we were purely platonic.
And this was arguably one of the biggest lies a Roblox YouTuber has ever made. The relationship between KonekoKitten and Pink was extremely and as detailed in this video, KonekoKitten admits that he completely lied about this situation to people in public and states himself that he displayed a lot of type of behavior. So essentially, this all started with Pink making a public YouTube video titled Thinking Differently in early February 2019, going over their gender identity and being trans when they were about 16 years of age. Now, KonekoKitten at this time had around 140,000 subscribers and was growing extremely quickly in the Roblox community, so there is an obvious power dynamic present here, and KonekoKitten was seen messaging Pink on the 8th of March with what seemed to be encouraging statements claiming how they did a good job in this video and that he can actually relate with Pink's position as he himself was non-binary at the time. And this is an example of how a singles out vulnerable victims. KonekoKitten, being 20 at this time, saw that this 16-year-old was questioning their gender identity and was in an evidently vulnerable position and consulted them under the guise that he could relate with their position, so that the 16-year-old could lower their guard towards him and then he could begin displaying inappropriate behavior towards them. And beyond this point, all the stones started to fall in this position, because shortly after they messaged about getting in contact on Discord, literally only 2 days later on March the 10th, KonekoKitten is seen making numerous inappropriate messages to them. KonekoKitten is seen going into detail about making out with Pink, stating how he would down to do it, while in other messages talking about the topic of and how his operates, obviously desensitizing Pink with the constant barrage of inappropriate topics around her. Now, in other DMs, KonekoKitten even discusses his past experiences with people directly to this 16-year-old, and even going on about how much he wants to get his neck, whatever that's supposed to mean. Now, keep in mind, this is obviously extremely concerning behavior, because not only is this age gap between them 3 years and 9 months, almost 4 years, but these messages were literally made only 2 days after KonekoKitten originally reached out to them. KonekoKitten continues by stating how Pink is them, but how it's quote-unquote cute, and states how being is fine as long as they can trust him. KonekoKitten continues by mentioning how he wants to their neck, while also stating that Pink may not make the moves, but he will. Another extremely creepy thing said was when Pink told KonekoKitten to go to sleep, Koneko replied with, "Why, so I don't you on?" To which Pink said, "Yeah, that's exactly why." To which KonekoKitten ends off by stating, "Not my fault girls are easy." Like, what? Now, a day later on March the 11th, only 3 days after KonekoKitten had originally reached out, Koneko then becomes directly towards Pink, saying extremely graphic things that I cannot even mention on YouTube. However, I think the sentence, quote-unquote, "You're going to be when I'm finished," is really all you need to see to understand how bad this is. I mean, KonekoKitten's messages here are so foul. On March the 13th, KonekoKitten teases the idea that Pink could be his future girlfriend, and continues to ask weighted questions to them to basically get the victim Pink to grow more attached to him. And on March the 16th, they officially start dating, literally just over a week after KonekoKitten first reached out to them. Now, at this point, KonekoKitten goes even further by posting explicit images of himself to Pink, despite Pink at this point being 16 years and 5 months old, and KonekoKitten being 20. And yes, this is yet another crime that KonekoKitten has openly committed, just like when KonekoKitten also explicit images from Napi when Napi was 17 and KonekoKitten was 20. But arguably, the most sinister part of this situation is yet to be discussed, because on November the 23rd, 2019, KonekoKitten and Pink actually met up to go to the 2019 CEO convention. There are even pictures of KonekoKitten and the victim in real life together, walking down a street or even playing in an arcade, with the victim obviously blurred for their own privacy and protection. However, essentially, KonekoKitten and his victim allegedly engaged in when they had met up, when Pink would have recently just turned 17 at this time, and with KonekoKitten just about to turn 21. There is even proof of Pink filming KonekoKitten on the bed with his cat Momo, proving how they were in fact together, with all the images provided being taken from back in November the 23rd, 2019. Now, despite all of this having transpired, KonekoKitten still had the audacity to publicly lie to everyone by claiming in a 2020 statement on Twitter that the relationship between him and Pink was purely platonic and nothing ever transpired. Even worse was that in 2023, KonekoKitten went to Pink's DMs to try and get them to lie about the age gap between them. KonekoKitten basically wanted Pink to lie, claiming that they met when he was 19, to make the age gap appear smaller, when in reality KonekoKitten was 20 when they first met up. KonekoKitten even stated himself that the age gap wasn't a good look on him, and that he wanted to be left alone regarding this entire situation. So instead of being transparent about it like a normal person should, he instead wanted to keep peddling a lie to everyone. In another message, KonekoKitten, using an account called Brian, being of course his first name, even stated how he acknowledges that he displayed a lot of type behavior towards Pink, and that he didn't think why it was normal for him to have been sending disgusting messages to someone who was 16 at the time while he was 20. Even when confronted by Roblox YouTuber KonekoKitten in the comments section of his now deleted response video, KonekoKitten acknowledges that he fully accepts that he was in the wrong for it, and that he will be rightfully criticized for this entire situation. Now fast forward to today, and KonekoKitten's channel is still hidden from public visibility, and many of you may be probably wondering what has KonekoKitten been up to recently. Well, as covered in my last video on him from 7 months ago, where he was consistently caught sending messages to Napi against Napi's wishes, KonekoKitten had actually discussed in an email sent to Napi in late April 2024 that he was starting college in the upcoming months, and that he had just gotten a job. Now, KonekoKitten did clarify that he randomly had this and as a result was hospitalized from it. He explains how he almost from it and that he was diagnosed with epilepsy, being a brain disorder, and follows up by stating how he will have to get an MRI scan and an EEG, and in the following weeks he will consult with a neuroscientist to figure out more issues regarding his brain, while finishing off by stating how he's going through a lot medically and that it's affecting the way he lives life. He goes on to describe to Napi in another email that he has lost his ability to be independent, and that he had to take a lot of medication to deal with his with another email of his stating that the doctors found a non-cancerous cyst in his brain. Now, despite the constant unhealthy that KonekoKitten was displaying towards Napi in numerous emails, basically not respecting Napi's privacy whatsoever, after my video had come out detailing that entire situation, KonekoKitten pretty much went entirely quiet, with the only thing remaining being his Discord, announcing as of late 2024 that he is a brain cancer survivor and that he's been cancer-free since the 31st of October 2024. So this obviously meant that all the that he was talking about to Napi were in fact a symptom of the brain cancer in which he had at the time. And if you take a look at his Discord bio too, it states that he is an aspiring nurse specializing in neuroscience, and even Green Lego Cats attests that KonekoKitten is apparently trying to become a nurse. So at this point, as it stands in the Roblox community, hopefully people can come to terms with the fact that KonekoKitten was actively going after someone else who was younger than Napi, and that clearly there is some form of a pattern behind KonekoKitten's malicious actions towards people below the age of 18. KonekoKitten, as covered in my previous video as well, has absolutely no plans to come back to YouTube or social media in general. So this will probably be my last video ever covering this entire subject, and I hope there won't be any people in this comment section who will try and defend or legitimize KonekoKitten's behavior, because even KonekoKitten admits himself that his actions towards Pink were indefensible. But anyway, for clarification as this video ends, this video is not intended for hate, harassment, or cyberbullying whatsoever. This video is instead intended for educational and informative purposes only, going over the entire situation as a whole in a documentary style context. I'd also like to clarify this video is intended for more mature audiences as well, as more mature themes are of course being discussed, so viewer discretion is advised. All necessary content has been sufficiently blurred out, and this video complies with all of YouTube's community guidelines, especially the YouTube Child Safety Community Guidelines. And with that being said, thank you all for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and comment your opinions down below about this entire situation, and join my Discord server to contact me if you wish. My Discord is discord.gg/Parlo. And with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. And obviously, the victim is blurred for their own privacy and protection, and I wish the best for them as well regarding this horrific situation, I truly do. Goodbye.